We're going to open the meeting. We can all stand for pledge allegiance. Don, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do you have anybody that would like to speak? Citizens? I don't see any. We'll move on. Mr. Polito with the beginning of the school year update.
Well, given all the changes that occurred over the summer, I think we can call the first week of school a very successful week. Despite a few bumps with transportation, it's been a very normal start of the school year. Schools are really settling into a routine right now, and things are going very smoothly. So tonight, I did ask Eric to come and give you an update on the Siwing. Randy's going to give you an update on the busing. Diane's going to talk about the before-school programming, and I have Neil here to talk about credit recovery because we have some pretty exciting things going on there. But other than that, everything's been going very well. So Eric, could you give us an update?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, there he is.
So,
Come around to the mic so we can hear you.
move this in a little So just to start, we reached our goals that we had set in early summer of opening most of the Siwing. That would be all rooms with the exception of the 3 on the west side of the second floor, the former horticulture room on the first floor, and the weld shop. Everything went as anticipated. All of our vendors completed the tasks that they needed to complete. The systems in the room are all fully functional, the rooms that are occupied. That would include the electric restoration, natural gas, data systems, etc. And I've heard very little complaints from any of the teachers or the students regarding anything that they have found in the rooms. So I feel that the restoration work that was completed by BMS CAT was effective, and the repairs that we conducted were done very well. The only exceptions to things that might not be complete in that area of the building would be the wooden floor that we are putting back into the eastern half of the machine shop, which is room 183. They're doing the final touches on that, and that should be done within the next week and a half. Everybody seems to be very happy. Today we had a company come in, the original equipment manufacturer for the machine shop machines, and their investigation showed that the machines did not suffer any damage due to the fire or the moisture that was in the building, and those are all functional again. They do have some final adjustments to make in leveling. As far as going forward, we still have Rothmar's partnership engaged in designing the fit out of the rooms that are not in use currently. And so we've been working with the administration in the building to make decisions on how to bring those rooms back into service again, perhaps making some improvements to how those rooms are set up. And we expect that to move along pretty quickly. We expect to have design drawings within a month. Those, of course, would be submitted to our insurer to make sure that we are covered for what we're planning on doing in them. We also will submit them to administration for review. After that, it will be a bid process. It will take approximately 6 weeks for the bidding and to get all the contract documents arranged. And after that, we can go into the reconstruction of those rooms. I would expect that to be completed by late January is what I'd anticipate. And I think the building looks very good. The Siwing came out as good as it possibly could have. We were working in there up until hours before the students entered the building. I think it really paid off. We had a lot of valuable people helping us, and they do a good job.
Super. Go ahead, John.
What had those rooms been used for that you said are not?
The ones that are offline?
Yeah.
174 is the former horticulture lab. 176 is the weld shop. 274, I might need help on this one. That's the one that had the 274 was like a general classroom. 276 was life skills type of room, and 278 was the construction trades classroom. And so they're finding alternative locations to provide instruction. We also have 4 temporary classrooms set up just east of our greenhouse that we are utilizing when we have overflow and need more classroom space than we have available inside the structure.
Did something happen to the air conditioning unit that we gotta know about or we'll eventually hear about it?
Well, there's a centralized air conditioning system. It doesn't feed the entire building, but it does a portion of the building. And that actually wasn't a result of the fire. That air conditioning system was down because the cooling tower for the building is out of service. It has some major leaks in the vessel that do not permit it to hold enough water to be able to provide cooling to the chiller loop. So that's another issue that we intend on working on here in the next year.
We actually met this afternoon to discuss some of those issues, and we have some issues with the boilers in that building. How many of the boilers are down right now?
There's 2 boilers down. We have 2 that are functional, but there's concerns with those as well because they had some issues with water quality at one time in the building, and that's what caused the failure of at least one of the other boilers. Is the tubes were all scaled, so they corroded away and formed leaks, and they plugged so many tubes in the boiler that it was no longer permissible to function.
So right now Eric's working on proposals for both the boilers and the air conditioning. We know air quality in that building needs to be as good as possible, especially with the increase in the number of students. So more than likely we'll be bringing you some of those proposals here in the next couple of months.
And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just so you know, we did have air quality samples taken just to show that we didn't have anything hazardous in the air in the building before and after the reconstruction, and those came back as very good. So it sort of showed that the people that did the cleaning did a good job of remediating any hazards that might have been left in the building.
I was just going to say, for all that we faced at the beginning of the summer, not just with the fire, but the fire itself, to hear what I'm hearing, I'm very impressed. And it doesn't happen by accident. It didn't happen without a lot of. Apparently, we made the right decisions and did the right things, and a lot of people came through.
It's definitely a credit to all the planning and hard work our staff did over the summer to make this happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're moving on to busing update.
So Randy?
Randy's up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have had a few issues with busing, but EMTA has been very responsive and trying to make these adjustments. And keep in mind that throughout this process, because we did the entire reconfiguration, we had to have them redo all the bus routes. So we're continuing to monitor that. Right now, our hot points are at East Middle School, Strong Vincent Middle School, and Harding. We have some overcrowding issues there. Randy's going to talk about it, but we do have a plan in place and expect that to be all addressed here in the next week or so.
As of this morning, we have, EMTA was running 23 routes for us in the morning, 30 routes in the afternoon, and they're currently transporting between 2,500 and 3,000 students per day. Initially, in the first week, we've had some issues with some of the buses arriving in the morning at schools without staff being present to meet the bus and walk the kids into the school. We've addressed those issues. I'm pretty sure that at this point, we have those worked out at the different schools. And that was also an issue in the afternoon as far as teachers and staff being able to wait with the kids till the buses got there. This afternoon, Brian and I actually went to Erie High. By dismissal was at 2:55. By 3:10, all the buses were off the property and transporting kids home. So within 15 minutes, all those kids were off the property. One of the issues Brian had mentioned was Harding School. One of the buses, for instance, was there by 3:45. So 5 minutes after school let out, The other one didn't get there till shortly before 4 o'clock. Those buses are coming from other locations, from middle school and high school routes. So we're working with EMTA to try to get those buses there sooner rather than later. There has been some perceived overcrowding on buses. It's important to stress to everyone that these buses are commuter buses, they're not school buses. So they have capacity limits of 60 to 75 to 80 students. So the kids are permitted, the students are permitted to stand on these buses because they are commuter buses. However, if it does reach a limit, the bus driver will stop loading the children onto the bus. EMTA has worked with us on this issue. They've added additional buses at East Middle School, and they've also made some fixed routes available to our students. One of the issues we originally had at Erie High is parking issues with the parents coming to pick up children, to pick up their students. We've been working with, today we met with Mike Pisano, the traffic manager from the city and the Erie Police Department, to put together an action plan as far as figuring out a better flow of traffic so buses can get in and out of that property quicker than they currently are. In the first week and a half, some of the other phone calls that we've gotten is just the general public not following traffic rules, not being aware that they're supposed to stop when kids are crossing the street, or they're passing a bus when the bus is stopped unloading kids. So we've had some complaints from citizens about that. The other issue that some families have brought forth is the change in who's eligible for transportation this year. For elementary and middle school, you have to be 1.5 miles from the school and 2 miles from high school. And if you remember last year, we did not provide any transportation for high school students. Beginning September 11th, bus passes will be required for all students. So we're going to see another adjustment in the participation and travel of students that take the buses. Daria has agreed to send out an all-call to all the parents to remind them that the kids need a bus pass beginning Monday. We've sent notices to the principals to remind their staff and the kids that they need a bus pass beginning Monday. Once that settles down and we have a true number of which kids need transportation and where they're going after school and to which neighborhoods, EMTA has agreed to review that information and make adjustments to their routes as needed. And in some of the cases, it may be as simple as taking one of the shorter buses that they're using and put a bigger bus in, a larger bus, to deal with some of the capacity issues. And honestly, one of the best buildings so far has been Erie High. Mike Pisano has had his staff involved. Like I said, Brian and I were there after school today. There were adults all over the place, just helping kids, facilitating them, getting them to their buses, and getting them out of the school at a timely manner. So that's been one of our best model schools so far as we've gone through this first week and a half of transportation.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm going to bring up something that I'm sure you probably already put into your thought process, but in the back of Erie High School, along the football field where you're picking up students, that in the wintertime, that is going to have to take extra care for snow removal because it comes across there, and we barely are able to get a path on there for most of the time. So if we're going to be using that to load the students up, I mean, it's going to almost take like coming in and getting the snow and dumping it in the field or whatever, but I just thought I'd bring that up.
Mr. Fabrizi, we actually met with the city regarding that. They have those same issues today, and we're looking at a couple different options right now. One is there's some pavement going from Peach Street along the gas well into that parking lot, and it's a little beat up right now, but we're thinking if we can get that opened up with a little touch-up on the paving and have the buses come through there, that they could park next to the building. And then the other thing we're thinking about is we look today at the traffic pattern down there. We're not too excited about the kids that are driving driving while the kids that are getting on the buses walking across the parking lot, so we're looking to maybe reroute that. So that, yeah, right now, I think that's our number one concern up there, is getting that addressed.
Mr. Spiegel?
Well, a couple things. One, my son takes a bus to and from my house and my ex-wife's house. He's had no issues. He's had nothing but positive things to say about the timeliness and courtesy and everything else. So my personal experience through my son is that everything's working very well with that. That's good. I'd like to see if we could, maybe a presentation of the traffic flow. I've received 3 calls from people that live in the neighborhood, because I live in that neighborhood. Hey, you know, they're trying to get to work, and then the parents dropping off I think we just have to train the parents not to stop in front of the school. They're getting frustrated because it's between Peach Street, Cherry Street, Liberty, there's a lot going on. And the people that live in the neighborhood are saying, hey, this is too much, they're going crazy. So if we could train the parents to not drop their kids off in front of that school, I don't know what the suggestion is, but perhaps people that have ideas, if they could present us with, okay, this is what the traffic flow is now. I don't even know whether there is really a plan, because I just see everything all over the place when I drive by there just to take a look at it. Where do the buses, do the buses always go on a one-way that is south of?
We actually have buses on every side, or we have buses on the, what's the mic, or assistance here.
Yes, so we have buses down along the football field right now, which we're trying to put another plan together for